Hello students, welcome to the course on hydropower engineering GEH 301 offered to students of engineering geology program during 5th semester. I'm Kirtan Adhikari, faculty at College of Science and Technology, Royal University of Bhutan. Welcome back students. So the classification of hydropower plants is going to be last second topic of this unit, and the last topic we shall discuss about the hydropower sector development in Bhutan. So let's get into it. So classification of hydropower plants, there are basically five classes of different ways categorizing the hydropower plants. So first one is based on the storage. So based on storage, the hydropower plant is classified as runoff plants, storage or reservoir plant, pumped storage plant, and tidal plants. Now what are these we are going to discuss in detail in subsequent section. For now, let's understand different ways that hydropower plants are being classified. So the second way of classification is based on the load characteristics. Load characteristics in the sense, it's about during when the hydropower plant is functional, at what peak, whether it is functioning during the peak hour or whether it is functioning continuously. So based on that load characteristic, means it depends upon what kind of load characteristic is there in the country when the power is generated. So that is how the load this how the power plants have been classified. And the next is based on the head available. So as we have already discussed what does a head in a power plant means, so based on the head it is further divided into the low head plants, medium head plants, and high head plants. The example of high head plant is obviously our Tala hydropower plant, and we are going to discuss more about this. So the fourth way of classifying is based on the plant capacity. So how much power it produces. So based on this, there are various plants. So like microhydro, which produces very minute power compared to super hydropower plants that produce maximum power. Maximum in the sense there is a range given. Okay, we're going to discuss more about this. So the final is the based on the fault type, whether the powerhouse is constructed along with the dam or is it constructed downstream of the reservoir or the dam. So based on this, it is classified as concentrated or divide fault plants. So let's go and study what each of this power plant exactly is. So with this, the first one is classification based on the storage characteristics. So first one, as we have said, is the runoff plant. Now in the runoff plant, what happens is we are constructing the dam, but the reservoir that forms because of the construction of dam, there's a small pond of water that forms upstream of the dam, right? But that dam, the characteristic of that dam is it's not going to store the water for a very long duration. Okay, so it is simply we are storing it for temporarily to take the water to intake, for us to be able to intake the water to the power plants. Most of our plants, in fact all that are constructed till date, are all of the hydropower plants in Bhutan comes under this. So the dam that you see in Tala, Chuka, this dam temporarily store water, which cannot store excess water during summer and utilize during winter. It will simply store for about maybe a week. I do not know exact figure, but it is just temporarily we are storing water. Okay, so next type is the storage. Now contrary to the power runoff power plant, storage power plants tend to store water, okay, for a longer duration, very long duration. In summer when there is a heavy downpour, they store this water, okay, and they utilize this water during winter or the lean season. So this is what we call by the storage plant. And the example of a storage plant is Toledo Bent Lake, Louisiana, Texas. Okay, so as you can see from this figure that it is relatively flatter terrain. From the image that I can make it out that it's a flatter terrain. So you can see how massive this reservoir is. So it stores the water during summer and it utilizes during lean season when there is less rainfall. So this is type of a power plant that stores water, so we call it storage type plants. Okay, Bhutan till date we have no such plants, but in future we may construct one like in Manas or in Suncoast. So we do not know right now whether it's going to be storage or not, but there are some rumors that Bhutan is going to construct such storage plant in future. Okay, so let's go ahead and see other types of classification. So another one this is also classified based on the storage type. Another one is very interesting type. It's a pumped storage. Now, why it is interesting is it first stores the water, then that storage, whatever the water is stored, is used to generate the power, right? Once it has generated the power, the water in other type of dam is allowed to flow downstream, but in this case they are going to pump back to the main reservoir. So the water follows a circular path. So it first generates power, then again it pumps back, and again it generates power. Now you may think about when you are generating, and again the same plant is using the power whatever it has generated to pump back, then what would be the advantage? Here the key point is they are going to generate the power when the demand is high. Okay, when we need lots of energy, that time only they're going to use they are going to produce the power. During the off during the when the load is not that much, that time at the lean at the lean time, they are going to pump back. So what real there is an advantage of cost. So during the when the power is required, the demand is more, the cost is going to be high, right? When the demand is less, the cost is going to be low. So when the demand is high, we are going to produce energy. So when demand is less, we are going to pump back. So energy spent maybe or may not be, it may not be same, but the cost is drastically less while we pump back, and that pumping has to happen when the demand is low, or else there won't be any profit. So these are a little bit of thing. But interesting thing is, another interesting thing about this pump storage plant is the turbine that it uses is a very unique type turbine. When it is generating electricity, it works as a turbine, and when it is required to pump, the same turbine or whatever the instrument is there, it works as a pump. So it is that instrument is known as the reversible pump turbine. Okay, that turbine is a unique type. It is not like the regular turbine. During the power generation time, it works as a turbine. It generates power, which means it extracts energy from the water. But when it's time to pump back, it adds energy to the water. That is the main purpose of a pump usually adds energy to the water. Okay, so this is the unique thing about the pump storage plant. And this is an image of Tumut hydroelectric power plant station in Australia. So it is of a pump storage plant. And next one is the tidal plant. So these tidal plants are constructed along the shores of an ocean. What happens is whenever there's a tide, right, that there's a tide in the ocean, so water tends to flow. When the water flows, then it turns the turbine and it produces electricity. As such, storage, a dam, a reservoir is not required. You simply install this turbine in the ocean shore, and that's how the electricity is generated. An example of this is the Siwa Lake Tidal Power Station in South Korea. And the next type of classification is classification based on load characteristics. So the base load plants, there are two types. One is the base load plant. So it operates throughout the year and produce a continuous supply. So which means all of our plant, although the amount of energy it produces is varies throughout the year, but it is functional throughout the year. So this is known as the base load plants, and it can be of runoff as well as the storage plant. It can be both. In our case, it is runoff, right? So next type of plant is the peak load. As I said, the peak load operates only when there is a peak demand in the country or in the system, wherever it is, wherever the plant is constructed. So instead, if I give you an example of when can this peak load act. Now let's, when can there be a peak load in a region? So let's take a comparison of Thimphu and Phuentsholing, because these are climatically in two different regions, so that I can explain. So in winter the climate in Thimphu is very cold, so which means you need heater, right? So maximum people in Thimphu must be using heater. So to power heater you need additional energy, right? But that the case is different in Phuentsholing. So the peak load for Thimphu would be definitely during winter, because people will require more electricity in winter because they have to run their appliances. They have to use more energy to heat up their homes. The case is different in Phuentsholing. In Phuentsholing, the winter is very calm and very comfortable, right? It's not very cold, it's not very warm, so we don't need any kind of additional appliances to heat our home. But during summer, it is hot. It's hot and humid, and people are then using the heaters, fan. That time they must be using, utilizing more energy. So to give you a hint of what peak load actually means, so peak load comes when people use more hydropower. So here peak load plants means a plant that operates when there is a maximum demand. So this is not, it's not running throughout the year like our hydropower plants in Bhutan. It's just running when the demand is high. Okay, so with this, let's go further, and this is based on the head. As I said, there are three types of plants, right? Low head, medium head, and the high head. So low head power plants are those plants which operates with the head less than 30 meters, and mediums they operate between 30 to 250 meters, and high head they operates more than 250 meter. So example of the medium plants in Bhutan are Kurichu, okay, and Kurichu, maybe Basachu also, I'm not very sure, but I think Basachu also comes under medium range, medium head plants. And next is the high head means the operational head is more than 250. Example, Tala, it has a head of 819 meters, which is obviously more than 250, so it is high head plants. The next way of classification is classification based on the plant capacity. There is microhydel that generates less than 5 megawatt of energy, medium that produces 5 megawatt to 100 megawatt. Likewise, the super hydro plants produce more than 1000 megawatt. So if I give an example of super, then Tala hydropower project becomes super hydropower project, right? Because it produces 1020 megawatt, which is more than 1000. So these are the few ways to classify. So okay, now the last one is based on the type of fall. Like I said, the powerhouse can be constructed along with the dam and the reservoir, or it is sometimes constructed at a distance from the power plant to utilize the steep slope of the topography, right? So if I give you an example, the Tala or the Chuka dam is constructed way above the Chuka powerhouse. So these comes under the and divide fall plants. And concentrated fall plants are those plants that have powerhouse attached with the dam or the reservoir. So they utilize the concentrated the fall at the same location. So this is it, the classification. And the powerhouse, although we are going to discuss in detail about the constructions and the other aspects of powerhouse, let's understand what actually houses, what is there in the powerhouse. So the most important thing that is there in powerhouse is the generator and the turbine. And to regulate this generator and turbine, there is a governor that actually governs this both penstoke inlet valves, and there are other electrical appliances also to control the electrical power generation in the powerhouse. For right now, we'll just understand this much. In later course, we're going to go into deeper as super powerhouse or superstructure or substructure. Superstructures are those powerhouses that are constructed above the ground surface, and subsurface structures are those powerhouses that are constructed uh, in a tunnel, okay, like Tala and Chuka. So we're going to discuss more on this later on. So right now, just understand that powerhouse is the main component in a hydropower plant, where it houses the generator, the turbine, the governor, the electrical appliances to control the the electricity generation and other stuff. Okay, it is the main engine, you can say. Okay, with this, let's continue our discussion with the hydropower development in Bhutan. As you can see, this image, I just got it from online, and it kind of resembles how the hydropower plants are constructed. It is not in Bhutan, I just got it online, but it gives a lots of information. So as you can see in this image, there's it looks like there's a mountainous topography is there, and water is flowing, dam is constructed here, and yes, so maybe this is the powerhouse. For if it is a concentrated fall, then this could be a powerhouse, but in our case, this water is taken to the powerhouse through the tunnels, right? So this is how exactly a powerhouse is hydropower plant looks in Bhutan. So it says that Bhutan has the total of 30,000 megawatt, out of which only 23,760 has been identified as economically feasible. Now, what does that mean? So what it means is, if we construct hydropower all over the places, right, we are able to generate, we should be in a position to generate 30,000, but economically feasible means it won't fetch us any profit. So cost of construction is going to be way higher than the revenue that it would generate. So that's why it is known as economically non-feasible forest. And as I have already explained, the reservoir types are of the hydropower plants are of mostly the runoff plants. Whatever the hydropower plants that have been constructed are mostly hydropower runoff plants. And the there are other components, like the headrest tunnel is not shown here, which is supposed to be inside this mountain, and desilting chamber is a chamber where the main cells are these cells. The chamber is mainly used to remove the cells. Okay, and most of the hydropower plant are the hydropower, the main uh, powerhouse is constructed not attached with the dam, but it is constructed downstream of a hydropower dam, because to use the topography for our advantage, it will help us to gain a little bit head, not just a little bit, a maximum, a significant head, so we can generate more power. So this is the overall hydropower development in Bhutan. And with this, I would like to give you a simple assignment here. So I want you to, I've provided the link here, I want you to write a brief note on hydropower energy of Bhutan. So all the information is available in Bhutan Energy Data Directory 2015, and this the latest one is 2015. I believe they were going to update this soon, but right now we just have this 2015 version. So I want you to read and write a short note on it. So short note means about 500 to 750 words. Just explain the hydropower development in Bhutan, which one was the first, what are the factors that is considered, so few things. So you just read this report and try to write a note on that. So let's I have just compiled few uh, information, okay, out of this energy directory. So let's go and discuss about this. So these are the locations identified which has the hydropower potentials that is able to produce more than 225 megawatt of energy. So there are many sites that has been identified. Okay, and you can see from this map that all these green patches are the corridors, and this dotted patches are the parks, which means we are not, I believe, they don't allow us to do so much of environmental destruction in these reserved sanctuaries. But there are other potential, but it also it has also the potential to produce the energy. Okay, so this map I have extracted from the same report, and you can also go through the report and learn about it. And let's see the statistics of hydropower plants in Bhutan. So as you must be already aware that Chuka is producing about 336 megawatt. Likewise, Tala is producing 1020 megawatt of energy, right? And if we go by the percentage of which hydropower produces more, from here we can know that the Tala is producing right now. This is way this is till 2015, okay. Today's date, the Mangdechu got commissioned, Dagachu got okay, that time also Dagachu also got commissioned by then, but now the new hydropower plants are Mangdechu, I believe. Mangdechu got commissioned after 2015, so the information of Mangdechu is not here. So likewise, and there are other mini and micro hydropowers in Bhutan. So as such, a name is not given here, but this is the total energy produced by all the micro and mini hydropower plants in Bhutan. Okay, this is the statistics. And you will be surprised to know that Bhutan also uses the diesel to produce energy, and Thimphu is the highest that produces more hydropower, energy out of diesel generator. Okay, so we also use diesel to generate electricity. And I would like to particularly take your attention to this graph. So this is the hydropower generation trend in Bhutan. Okay, so you can see this, the gray one is for 2012, yellow is 2013, and the blue one is for 2014. As you can see, January, as we go from January to December, the energy is produced maximum in August, and it decreases, right? It increases from February, then it decreases, and it reaches peak at August, and then it decreases. I want you to think about why this is happening, and why, what is the main cause of energy not getting constant, not being produced constant. Okay, what I mean is why the same energy is not produced throughout the year, why there is this shaped. So I want you to think over this and also mention about this in your assignment. And here I have extracted some information from Wikipedia. So this is just the statistics out of Wikipedia. Okay, you can also check it out. And here the electricity generation worldwide. So you can see China is leading with installed capacity 352 gigawatt, right? And followed by Brazil with 105. India comes at first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth with 49 gigawatt of energy. This is as of 2020, okay? And it is only okay, this is electrics, which means okay, this is the hydroelectric, so it does not mean that these countries are only producing this much energy. They must be using solar and other forms. This is only hydroelectric power. Okay, so with this I would like to end the first unit, and these are the list of world largest dams. Okay, and the largest dam in the world ever constructed is known as Three Gorges Dam, and it is in China, that has a capacity of 22,500 megawatt of energy. And likewise, there are other dams. So this is just for your information. Okay, guys, see you. Thank you.